My name is John Lobell. I teach architecture at Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York. I'm the author of Visionary Creativity: How New Worlds Are Born. These are very brief excerpts from a lecture, The Individual and Its Enemies. So this is not going to be as coherent as it might be because it's just a few brief excerpts from the lecture, but you can find the entire lecture on YouTube by searching for John Lobell, Individual and Its Enemies. We're talking about the individual in the West. So I'm going to start with the idea of what is an individual, how it's unique to Western culture, and how it's got enemies. So in the West, our temple form is a Gothic cathedral. You look at this thing. Why did they build these things? They built them because they manifest in material form their cultural experience of outgoingness. And you stand in the nave of one of these things, and it's right there. The descendants of these people are going to be the people who will circle the globe and go to the moon. You just look at it. It's the core of Western culture. And then the moral structure of the culture in one of the stories of what's called the Arthurian romances. Those are the stories of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. The knights are going out on a quest to view the Holy Grail, and they thought it would be a disgrace to go forth in a group. So each entered the forest at a point he himself chose where it was darkest and there was no path or way. If there's a path, it's somebody else's path. We demand that your work will be original. Well, what is this individual? It's starting with the Renaissance, body, mind, and soul. Physical is a physical body here. And then we add emotional depth to this human being when we get to the Baroque and a Rembrandt self-portrait. Then the sublime, the realization that we can never really fully comprehend the depths of the soul or the wonders, splendors, and even terrors of nature. And then angst in modernism. So we can look at Western art as sort of rounding out this human being. The notion then in the West is the creative and moral center is in each individual. America's favorite novel, Huck is going down the Mississippi where he will encounter all the weird characters that make up the American soul, but he realizes he's doing something really terrible. He's been told by the preacher, by his school teachers, by Miss Watson, whose slave he's stealing, by Miss Polly. He's doing this horrible thing, and finally he says, I'm going to do it anyway. And he says, all right then, I'll go to hell. And then we realize he's doing the right thing because his inner voice is a more valid moral guide than the rules of society. And so we get these artists, writers, scientists, industrialists, and just flat out visionaries who just imagined in totally new worlds. What do we have here? Voltaire. He just created tolerance. This is a totally new idea. Blake, lunatic visionary. John Bell, Bell's theorem, totally blows apart everything in physics that came before, that the entire universe is immediately and entangled. And this is Lynn Margulis, who totally put to rest Darwin. And it's just a matter of time before the evolutionists admit it. But she shows that evolution is not caused by natural selection, but by massive genomes being moved around by bacteria. And 90% of the DNA in your body is bacterial DNA. And it's moving stuff all over the place. She had that vision. We have entrepreneurs emerging today. There's a whole new field of entrepreneurs. Elon Musk is a member of the PayPal mafia. These are people who pocketed a couple $100 million when they sold PayPal, the founders. He says, we can't keep running these gasoline cars. So he creates Tesla. NASA's dropped the ball on going to space. So he creates SpaceX. He says, we're going to get serious about solar energy. So he creates Solar City, the largest solar energy company. Now he says, this high-speed rail thing, nobody's got it right. So he's launching Hyperloop. Yet, despite this exploding all around us, contemporary economic theory from Keynesian to Austrian either sees the entrepreneur as not important or fading away or actually seeks its elimination. Yet despite this, in intellectual circles, attack on the individual, it just thrives in popular culture. So here's one of my favorite essays. There's this line in the great mystery writer Raymond Chandler, down these mean streets a man must go, who is not himself mean, who is neither tarnished nor afraid. So you got to read that essay. It's in The Simple Art of Murder, and then 1,000 movies in which the protagonist acts with inner integrity to bring down a corrupt world and for a time set things right. That's Stagecoach with John Wayne, The Maltese Falcon with Humphrey Bogart, Shane with Alan Ladd, Riddick with Vin Diesel. How many people have seen the new Riddick movie? Really great. Matt Damon in The Bourne Identity, Angelina Jolie in Salt, all the Dirty Harry movies. And then it gets really interesting because Clint Eastwood does In the Line of Fire, which is an exact parallel to the Percival myth. This incredibly fierce attachment to the individual in movies like Gattaca, The Truman Show, and Clockwork Orange. And then the notion of, through all this, making a better self. So Groundhog Day, which has been just working its way up higher and higher on everybody's best movies of all time list. And Stanley Fisher's only movie after 1958 on his greatest movies list. Bill Murray is a weatherman who's a jerk. He gets stuck in a day that repeats over and over. And he finally, after going through every other possibility, says, why don't I use this just to become a better person and do the right thing? And in the end, he gets the girl. Everybody's happy. So what will be the new individual? And of course, you never know. I mean, there's this great phrase by Joseph Campbell, what will be the new mythology? And he says, we cannot know. It comes from the same realm as tonight's dreams will come. But something's happening, which is the long-form television drama, releasing an incredible art form. And so there's a book about them, Difficult Men, about the dramas, the ideas behind them. The people who create them are called showrunners. And speaking of individuality, what happened is they got the power. In making a movie, a director makes a movie, and then all the finance guys sticks their fingers into it until they've totally ruined it. And what these showrunners are able to do is nobody touches their work. Now, they work with big teams of writers, so it's a very collaborative, creative venture, but they have total control. So Tony Soprano, and it's a long argument, but I'll put that up with Shakespeare in terms of family, individual, clan, just all the dramatic tensions. I think it's fully the equal of Shakespeare. Tony says, every day's a gift. It's just, does it have to be a pair of socks? And Walter White, you clearly don't know who you're talking to. And then The Wire, the game done changed. Game's the same, just got more fierce. And then finally Don Draper and Mad Men. What you call love is invented by guys like me to sell nylons. So, in defiance of all the attempts to suppress it, a new individual is emerging with a deeper realism, confronting a moral ambiguity, and a continuing struggle to create a self.